little mini hot seat. We call these hot seats. What happens is there is a room shaped, the tables are shaped like a U. We're all sitting around. Whoever's in the hot seat comes up to the front, sits in the chair right next to me, and they talk. They present their, where are you? Where do you want to go? How are you going to get there? We usually pop up some numbers. They talk about their biggest challenges, and we dig in as a group. So we will hot seat these three guys, and I encourage participation from you guys as if we were sitting together in a mastermind room. Okay? Sound good? Okay. So Dr. Alan Gatora, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good.
All right. Dr. Alan is an incredible man. He has 2 dental practices, and he's figured out a way to turn a two-operatory practice into an extremely productive and profitable venture. He actually has 2 practices, but one of his practices is 2 operatories. It's extremely profitable, and we're going to analyze the tiny little practice and show you guys what's possible if you watch your numbers, okay? So, Dr. Allen, quick hits. He has a collection percentage of 112% in 2014. He averaged 67 new patients a month in 2014. His hygiene production is 32%. Overhead percentage, excluding doctor's salary, 50% in 2014. And here's what changed from the previous year. And this is us working together as a group to improve his numbers. He had an 8% increase in net production versus 2013, a 38% increase in collections versus 2013, 38% increase in collections. That's pretty beefy. 16% increase in new patients versus 2013, and Jake made the slide. He is a great man. All right, and that's my friend Alan. Okay, so here's his scorecard. His net production, we'll skip over that just for privacy purposes. You guys can't see it anyway. Let's just say it's just under $1 million practice, okay? His total expenses were $398,000, which is 50% overhead, okay? If you look at his scorecard here, guys, you guys are getting familiar with how to read these things. His hygiene salaries are a little high, 1.98% high. His payroll taxes, 0.62 over. His other expenses, 3.38% over. His scorecard, 23.11 in the negative. So we would call him an A-plus student. He's on cruise control. That's a very good scorecard. So let's dig in, and there's always opportunity, right? And remember, if all of his expense categories are in line, that does not mean that he still can't lower his overhead, because decreasing overhead is just going to increase his bottom line, the more money he takes home, or he could save that for expansion in the future, which we are trying to strategize right now, because 2 operatories, he's at maximum capacity, or he could pass that on to his team, increase, morale, and make things better for the team, and get his team to be the highest paid team in the area, which is all of our goals, right? So Alan, tell us a little bit about your background and where are you now, where do you want to go, and how are you going to get there?
So I am from Zimbabwe, and I came to this country in '99 and did my undergrad in Wisconsin, and then moved to Washington, D.C. for dental school. And I graduated in 2008, and straight after that, I worked for a year. But I knew that I wanted to be in business for myself. And that's how I managed to start this office from scratch. And I think a couple of years later, we managed to open the second office, which is, I think, 6, 7 hour practice. It's a much bigger practice. But I guess we're focusing on this one today. I met Mark, I was at a point where I had grown, the empire as far as I could by myself. Because as we all know, in dental school, we only taught so much clinical work. But as far as the business, I felt I'd reached the ceiling as far as what I knew from the business point of view, and I needed someone to take me to the next level. And that's when we been following Mark on YouTube for a while, and eventually I went to the summit. I think it was in Las Vegas, the first one. So that's a little background of where I am. With the Silver Spring office, where we are now, we have an associate that is there, and we have a new hygienist that is there. Because the one we had went on maternity leave, and that's why the number, I think, the production is not quite where we want it to be on the hygiene side, because we're in that little transition, and we have some work to do in that area. So I think that's one opportunity. That's where we are with Silver Spring. And also the associate definitely will need to coach him some more on the business part of it, so he can understand more what is going on in the business. And I think that will impact what will happen, on the other end, as far as just being able to get the practice going more efficiently, per se. So I think those are two things I want to focus on this year, going forward.
Okay, so let's dig a little bit more into hygiene. What is happening exactly? Why are we 1.98% high on salary on hygiene salaries when your hygiene department did 32% last year? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, I think I know what it is. The hygienist that was there before, she's the one who went to maternity leave. And the one we have, like, for example, I know the one that was there before, she went through the enhanced hygiene, course.
Okay.
And we have the hygiene system, but I think we're still going a little transition from, what it was. And she's getting better as far as the recalling systems and all that stuff is concerned. So I'm not too concerned about that number.
Okay.
I know that it's just a transition time that, that's happening. And I know that we'll definitely be on top of it.
Right, okay. So let's talk about the capacity issue that you have. Obviously, 2 operatory practice. He's doing almost, $750,000 in production and even more in collections. Do you think that it's a viable plan to expand or to switch locations or maybe merge with another practice? What are your thoughts on that? And you know what, before you answer that question, Eddie Graham, this question came up in one of our mastermind meetings, and Eddie Graham is so sweet. She said, well, it's not broken. Why don't you just keep it exactly the way that it is? You have 50% overhead, and that's awesome. It's great, just the way that it is. And that's so refreshing, and it's so true, right? We're constantly, especially my mind, type A personality, we always have to expand. You have 1 successful practice, why can't you have 10? But the bottom line is this thing is not broken. This is a gem. It's a 2 operatory practice. It's, $750,000, 50% overhead, which means out of this 2 operatory practice, he's taking home half of what he produces. That is sweet. He's taking home half of what he produces. And I know $2 million practices where the owners don't take that much home, and they got a lot more moving parts. They have a lot more liability. They have a lot more employees. They just have a lot more stress in general. So this thing isn't broken, but when we talk about being of the expansion mindset, how do you feel about expansion versus staying the way you are?
Yeah, my take is I see the potential. We could do so much more in a bigger space. And the only thing that's holding me back is I really want to purchase a building or, the office that we're moving to. So we're on the market looking right now to see if we can get a building. So yeah, it's not broken, but at the same time, I see the potential in it, because we could do so much more. And even in the future, as far as, even if we go down the road of people buying in and that kind of thing, it would make so much sense looking ahead to be in a bigger space.
Right.
And just continue. Because the hard part was getting the systems in.
Right.
So once you have the systems in, I think we'll be able to duplicate what we're doing already and move forward. So that's my take on the expansion.
Okay, so if you're serious about expansion, we're gonna commit to something then, right? Because we don't just want to float a desire out there without a tangible plan in place. So as far as your expansion plans, do you want that to happen this year or next year, or what's good timing? Let's drill down exactly how we want this to look.
My lease comes up the end of next year. So
15?
15, yeah, 2000,
Okay.
end of next year. So we've been looking, we are in the market. I was just looking at a building the other day, potentially, something in the works.
Okay.
So it's something that we wanted to be done yesterday.
Okay.
So as far as the deadline, I know the lease is up next year, so we definitely will have to make a move by then.
Okay, so property purchase is top on the priority list.
Yes.
It would be nice if we found the piece of property and got it built out so that as soon as you ran out of your lease or a month shy of that lease, we can transition into the new space. I want you, because I understand that real estate's a challenge where you are and finding a place to purchase within a reasonable distance so you don't lose part of your patient base is going to be difficult. I want you also to expand your ideas and potentially think about buying a smaller practice and merging with yours that's more suitable to increase the capacity. That's something else that we might want to consider. So let's just start looking hard at the real estate situation and see if we can find something, by late summer. Okay, and we'll put that, let's just say the end of August as a deadline to find something. Either a new practice to buy and merge with, or a property or new lease space, one of those three things. Okay?